Right then, welcome to Rise Road podcast number 5. Going to be a little bit different to my usual. I say usual, we're on number 5. Has that been enough for it to be usual yet? Not entirely unusual because I still didn't plan this podcast. I'm still winging it. I did honestly have every intention on jotting some notes down and bullet pointing some things. But instead that's substituted by me restarting the start of this podcast about 4 times. So we're here, but we're going through it. The biggest difference is that I'm aware I've got listeners / viewers now. Because since I recorded the last one, my first podcast and my second actually have gone out there. So I know people are listening. And not only do I know they're listening, they've told me. I've had some lovely messages and comments from people. Comments in the form of people like in my life that I see, and I kind of bumped into them and they said, oh, by the way, I listen to your podcast sort of thing. I had a good friend, San, send me a lovely voice note on the day of my first podcast. I had an old friend from primary school, so I don't think no, tell a lie, it was high school. It was just early high school. He moved to America, so I didn't really see or heard from him, and he sent me a lovely message from Oregon, I think he said he's in. So Dan, thank you for your message, I really appreciate it. It was lovely. And there was someone else that I don't even know that sent me a lovely message. I feel bad now because I forgot his name, but again, lovely messages from my first podcast, and that really blew me away. I thought I'd have to get at least like a year in before getting anything like that, so that took me back. But at the same time, like I say, now I'm nervous, I'm anxious, because I'm aware that I'm like, people are actually listening now. Whereas before I was like, it's just me, I'm just going to do it. It doesn't matter, nothing matters, it's cool. I'm just going to talk. So I know obviously I still need to stick to doing that. But yeah, I've got some nerves and some feelings I'm dealing with just by knowing. So that's going to take some getting used to. What I want to do a bit more today is get into me, not in a arrogant way, as I like to point out, but more because, like I said in the first podcast, we're a team. We're a team. And I also made a point to get across in the initial podcast that I'm doing this subject matter because it's what I deal with and what I go through and what I've had to develop over the years, and that it's an ongoing thing, and that I wanted to kind of like almost document the journey as I go so that I can help other people that are dealing with the same things from a place of, I know how you feel, dude, or dudette, but I'm here too. So I want to get into kind of some things that I've had to deal with more recently. I won't go too much past stuff because it would be here forever, but more recent, so it's like it's happening to me now, not me saying, oh, I dealt with that years ago, because I know that'll get some of you feeling like, oh yeah, it's good for you, you're out of it now. I'm still dealing with it. I'm still dealing with it too. And to hit that off, I think I want to be very real in that this podcast is still very, very early, number 5, as you're aware. And I think, as you're aware so far, I'm not hiding the faults. Like I want it to really start raw, so that the listeners I pick up now, if you're still listening with me in a year, 2 years, 10 years time, you will hopefully grow with the podcast, and it'll become more polished, and you'll feel like you've grown with me. And the biggest example I've got of this is my last podcast number 4, because I nearly deleted that thing. Terrible. Like, I will apologise. Like, bad in the fact that, my battery went flat on my camera, so I had to edit that. But again, I did say that battery went flat. I've now found that my camera, with it being a DSLR, apparently has a 29 minute and 90 something seconds, I think, cut off time. It's basically half an hour, and it cuts off, and you have to start recording again. I was hoping it was just a settings issue, but apparently it's these cameras. So because last week, as you're aware, I went over by almost double what I normally do, that had that. So it had the battery, the camera cutting out, and the other thing that I've had to deal with is my initial podcast. I felt like I recorded too quietly. So since then, I've been leaning too far the other way, and it finally tipped the scales, and the amount of times my audio peaked in the last podcast, which is where when you look at like a waveform when it's going up and down, when it peaks it just hits like a ceiling, it goes flat and then it distorts. So I spent, obviously the podcast was longer, and because of the waveform, I had to literally keep like segmenting those bits and trying to cut them and then lower the volume a little bit on them so the distortion wasn't as bad. So it was one of them. It was a good moment that I felt for the podcast because it really shows how I'm growing with doing what I'm doing, which is a good example for life, which is what we're talking about. So if you're getting a bit bored, and I'm sorry, and I've almost lost you, talking about the podcasty side of the podcast, there's a reason. It's because I want to put across that I'm new to it, I'm struggling, I'm making mistakes, but I'm going along with it, which is the perfect metaphor for life. Because that's what life is. You just stumbling along the whole bastard time, ain't you? You never really quite got your full game together, have you? But the older you get, the more you do, the less mistakes you can make because you're learning every time you make one. So that's what I wanted to put, and I wanted to address it in this podcast. So not only have you seen me do it, or listened to me do it, but you've heard me explain about it, and that obviously from now on, I've already turned the gain down on the audio-y thing, and I'm trying to not get, because I noticed in the last one that when it peaked half the time, it was when I leant really close to the microphone, but I'm going to do this time and talk a bit quieter. See, whereas I talk normal volume before and like lean forward to, I know, adjust my t-shirt or something daft, and it would go boing and cut. So yeah, it's terrible, but I learnt a lot. I've shared that with you, so you know I'm human too. It's all cool. It's all gravy. And yeah, I think we'll get into some more recent bits for myself. Feels a little bit weird, but like I say, I want you to feel it so that you know I was trying to think of some like trendy thing, like I'm not trendy enough to think of phrases. So yeah, a lot of it this week. I don't know where it is everywhere else in the world, but in the UK we've still been locked down until, I think we're still in lockdown now, but basically from the start of the week the schools reopened, and as you've heard me say already, 3 boys, 5, 4 and 2. Now the biggest thing to do with this is that I'll give you a little bit of history because it's relevant to what's gone on in the past week. So we don't really get help from family, which is more kick in the teeth because like the mother-in-law is round the corner. Another, I won't get too much into the family members, but just the basic point of we don't get the whole, you know, every other weekend kids go to nan and granddads or like once or twice a week or anything like that. My wife's pretty much been in this house for 6 years with our kids. Anyone that's a parent can feel that. Anyone that's not a parent can probably still empathise with that because there's just no time to be yourself. So this year was meant to be when my youngest started nursery. So that meant for, I think it's 3 mornings a week, my wife would get about 3 hours, but given just the time going there and back, we'll say 2.5 a week to herself with no kids. Like, so she could do what she wants, whether it's catching up around the house or whatever. On top of the whole kid thing, like before I met my wife, she'd got a daughter from a previous relationship that was just a waste of space. So she was basically a single mum, then again with no support, and if anything, just crap, basically. So it's been a hard draw for her, and she struggles with anxiety and depression. She takes I think it's 30 milligram of citalopram. Pretty sure that's the dose. Then we've both been diagnosed with PTSD from the car crash that we had. I might flip in a quick picture for the YouTube viewers so you get an idea of how bad that was. But that was basically us going down the road, dual carriageway motorway, straight road, and a car just ran us off. So we're doing like 70 mile an hour down a ditch. Car rolled, me, the wife, the kids in the back. They were 1 and 2 at the time. It was one of them things where everyone tells you how lucky you are and you don't feel lucky. So there's that. She's had a broken wrist for 3 years and we didn't know until the start of last year. I've got to give you a little bit of background to understand this past week. So all that kind of built up. Obviously the start of this year, my youngest did start nursery, but the eldest then wasn't able to go to school, so she had to homeschool. So yes, catching up to this past week, the schools have reopened, so now she's kind of getting that time, but just the wait for that. I think it was the week before I got a text off her while I was at work saying I don't want to be your wife anymore. I don't want to be a mum anymore. I just want to go away, basically. So there's like my end of it. I'm in someone's loft, fitting a extractor fan, and you get that, and you're like, oh crap, right, okay. So I just literally got that job done as quick as I could. Just message say like, I'll be home as quick as I can. Got back, and then I'm like, right, I've got the kids. You just go lie down or do whatever, sort of thing. But even that isn't like, oh, I've had a hard day, can I go have an hour to myself? It's like she's in a dark hole at the minute. It's like bad. And then I've struggled with it myself this past week or so as well. I think some of it was circumstantial to not getting to sleep early enough, because that affects things. You know, you have a bit less patience. But yeah, following on from the message from last week, I believe then it was the beginning of this week, she was basically talking to me like she feels like it'd be easy just to kill herself because she's got such low self-worth in her head. It's like, what does she bring to the table? It'd be easier if she just weren't around for us to worry about. I think it was then Friday morning. I had to dress my 4-year-old. That's not happened for a long time. I don't think I've had to do it since he was 2, because he can have quite a temper on him. But he did not want to get dressed Friday morning, and he screams the house down. So I got him dressed. But then once we come downstairs, that had already took like enough time up in the morning, because we kept trying to give him chances to get dressed. I dragged the morning on. Again, sorry if you're not a parent. I know I'm probably starting to lose you, but obviously you can imagine the stress, right? So then she's downstairs, and I believe she was trying to do the right thing by getting him out of it, by saying, oh, do you want to pass me the butter out the fridge, and you know, so he could get involved with her doing the breakfasts and everything. I don't cook, I'm terrible with food, so I feel really bad in the moments, because I'm like, I can't butter bread. I probably could, couldn't I? But obviously, because he was still in the mood, he weren't like, oh yes mum, here you go. He was like crawling to the fridge and barely passing it. But then she's getting stressed because she's thinking, well, you know, we've got like 20 minutes to get you all fed and her dressed and get you all to school. And then she pretty much, if I remember right, was it a scream or a shout? And she like slammed the cupboard door and like stomped through the kitchen and up the stairs and said like, I might as well fucking kill myself now, I hate you all. And then slammed the bedroom door. So I'm like, great, fucking wonderful. So obviously, from my point of view, then I'm like, for myself, I'm like, like, I'm trying not to stress about the jobs and the customers I've got for the day and needing to leave the house and get to the job on time and all that sort of stuff. So I'm already going through the things that we spoke about before of like, well, worst case, the job shouldn't be that bad, or very worst case, I might have to apologise to someone and rebook them if I don't get out of the house soon enough, and because I might have to go and take the kids to school myself because the wife's not in a fit enough state to. So then I'll go upstairs. Normally I'll try and leave her a bit longer as if and when these things ever happen, but because the whole killing yourself thing's been a bit of a theme these past few weeks more than normal. She's mentioned it the odd time. I've mentioned it the odd time. That feeling of just, when you feel like there's too much weight from life and it's just, you haven't got the option to walk away other than killing yourself. It's like, when I've had the thoughts, it's more been like a passing thought. I've never gone too deep in it, I don't think. But I know when I've had it, it's been more like, I wonder what would happen if he just, drove off that bridge now instead of going straight. Anyway, so I'm like, best go check on the wife because I don't want to get up there and find she's done something daft. She obviously hasn't, so I get up there. And then what I've struggled with this week is when she's been like this and she's upset and she's emotional and angry, and she said like, she's told me to shut up and that I'm an idiot or something. Now I'm sure there's others of you that are listening to this and thinking, fucking hell, like my missus has called me worse than that, or other way around, or my other half said worse than that to me. It's like, it's just shit you say. But that hits me because I'm like, the amount of energy I put in to getting all my own bullshit and like pushing it aside so that I can support the wife. By the way, sidetrack, when we're in like a really good mind state, she'll often say we'd be fucked without me. So we're both very aware, and she wishes it wasn't like it, but we're very aware that it's me that's like the glue. So she'd done that, and that's what I was trying to say, is that then I almost feel like I'm really unappreciated because of the effort I put in. It's like, I know she has everything else to deal with, but she'd never call me that because she's very well aware of all the effort I put in. In the moment, I should, and I do normally in the past, let that go because I know she don't mean it at the time. She'll apologise later because I know she don't mean it. But because I've been struggling myself more this week than normal, that pissed me off. So then I raise my voice and I get shouty. And I think I said something along the lines of, you know, you don't fucking talk to me like that. Like, cause she starts to feel like, because I said about the dark thoughts in her head, and to, like, you know, tell them to shut up. And she was like, oh yeah, because it's that fucking easy. Like, she gets to a point where she feels like I don't understand how she feels because I'm not the one that's in the house all day with all the kids, right? But I don't like to address that because I don't like to give the negativity the time of day. I don't want to sit there for an hour trying to explain to her how I can empathise and I can feel her pain and I know what she's going through enough to get her to the point of, oh, okay, so you do know how I feel, so then I can try and say the productive stuff. Most of the time, because we ain't got time for that, and I want to treat it like that because it's a waste of time addressing the negativity. But because of me struggling this week, I pretty much snapped, like, basically, don't you fucking dare think that I don't fucking understand it, because I fucking understand it all. Like I honestly feel like it's a little door in my head, and behind it is all that horrible shit that I managed to not lock the door, but I'm, like, you know, braced up against it most of the fucking time. And I feel like I'm very capable of just going, alright, fuck it, and just stepping aside, letting the door fling open, letting all the shit come out. That's how I feel when I hear the wife saying it as if I don't understand, because I'm like, oh, I fucking do. Like, I really do. And I snapped a bit that day and basically said, like, you know, I really fucking do. You don't fucking talk to me like that. Like, you dare fucking talk to me as if I don't fucking understand, blah, blah, blah. So then she starts crying because obviously she knows I'm right. And then she feels guilty that she's pushed me to that and that I'm now upset. So then she's fucking crying. So then I feel like a dick, don't I? Because I'm like, fuck's sake, the poor girl's struggling. Ran upstairs going, I might as well fucking kill myself. And then here's me getting fucking moody at her. I'm like, what a twat. Like, it's just that, literally, it's like a cloud suddenly moving and you go, oh, dick. Like, and I calm her right down and go back to, like, being normal me, in air quotations. So yeah, so then I'm obviously talking to her. I'm apologising, you know. Shouldn't have said that to you. That don't matter. I start doing the thing that I normally do when I try and break it down. Like, I try and talk about, like, what I know, because she was there holding her head. Because it feels like pressure when you've got all this going on. You've got all these thoughts and all the horrible thoughts coming in and the negative shit and everything else. And you're literally like, that's what it's called, boiling point, isn't it? Because you just, I can't fucking cope. Like, fuck this. And you snap, break, gone. And I could see that in her. And I was there basically trying to, like, bring her down and saying, like, look, just I think she was on the window ledge, and I think I had my arms, like, round her, almost round her shoulders, my hands on her hands. I think I was just kind of, like, stroking her hands, and I was just saying, like, just please let the pressure go. Like, don't let it fucking hold you. Like, it's okay. Like, it really is okay. It's fine. You don't need to struggle like this. It's all right. Like, then I went through the kids because she was about a meeting and stuff, and I was like, I've given Mikey a banana. He's 2. Like, that'll do him for the fucking morning. He's okay. Harvey's had a bowl of cereal. He's 5. That's done him. This is because normally she makes my youngest 2, you know, like pancakes and grapes and, like, a whole little plate of food. So I was like, well, Mike's already had a banana. He doesn't need to have all that as well. He'll be fine. And then with my middle son, the one that had been a shit bag and hadn't got dressed, like, you know, if he doesn't have breakfast, like, worst case, he'll eat all his fucking lunch at nursery. Like, he ain't gonna die because he didn't eat anything before going out to nursery. Like, there's kids out this world that probably have as much in a day as he would normally have for breakfast. Like, his health will be fine, his mental health will be fine. Like, it's okay. Don't worry about him. And then I was like, fuck me, don't worry about my food. Like, I can go till tonight without eating if I really have to. or I could, like, if I don't make myself any lunch, I was like, it's fine. So you haven't got to worry about getting downstairs, because that was the moment that broke her, because she was trying to be good with the middle son by getting him to pass the stuff, but she was trying to get all these breakfasts done, and it would be, I don't think it was a lunch that day, because on a Friday the eldest does have a school dinner, so it would have been my lunch. She's obviously thinking, I've got to get all this done, I ain't got the time. But that was like, it's always like cherry on top. You always kind of, especially lately, find that more often than not, your like patience bottle is running near on fucking maxed out. And then it's just that little bastard thing that's cherry on top, and that's enough for it to go bang, boom. But then people are like, fucking hell, she honestly on about killing herself just because she was stressing about getting some food ready for the morning. It's like, nah, it's deeper than that, way deeper. That was just the last string on the fucking guitar to break, or whatever analogy you want to use. So yes, I'm trying to calm her down and say, like, look, so you haven't got to worry about all that. Those are the worst cases for those separate things. It's okay to be feeling what you're feeling. It's okay to be struggling. I done it again, the camera cut off. Little edit in between. Sorry, I will get better. Yes, so I was trying to calm her down, and just like I say, trying to get her to let go of that pressure. I was trying to pinpoint the individual things that I know she was stressing about, but she wouldn't have thought them as individual things, because the thing is, people have different amounts, I guess. Like, you could think of 2 or 3 things where it's like, oh, there's this and that, and but then once it's like 2 or however many more on top of that, and then the whole thing isn't a list anymore, it's just a ball of shit. So you're not thinking, I've got to do this and I've got to do that. It goes to, oh, it's too much, and you can't get a coherent thought on one of those things. You can't, I think it's compartmentalise and be like, well, I can do that with this and I can do that with this. You do that when you're clear-minded, not when you're fucking stressed and you're like at the end of your tether. But I knew the things that she would be stressing about, the little things, so I tried to hit all of those. So it was hitting the individual things that I know she would be stressing about, then telling her that she doesn't have to worry about me. She doesn't have to feel guilty about me feeling bad or me getting upset. Like, I'm already accepted. It's my job to be the stronger one. Like, we've spoke about this, we've agreed on it. I'm not just like taking hits sort of thing. I'm not like, oh yeah, my wife struggles, so I let her call me a dick all the time because I know she has a hard time. It ain't like that. It's, we talk about it, and I'm constantly reminding, like, it's okay for you to struggle and need to lean on me. It's fine. And then it was more the hitting the, well, how she'd feel about herself then. And I'm like, you've got a lot of worth. It's okay to be struggling like you are. And like, for a minute, don't be thinking that we don't need you in this fucking family. I'm like, straight away, I don't know who the fuck you think would feed us if you left. And I worded it as, I said, if you left, because I didn't want to say if you killed yourself. I didn't want, again, because it's like a dirty thing to think of. In my head, I didn't want to word it like that. I didn't want to give it life by breathing the words into the air. So I said, if you left. So like, if you left, like, we'd be fucked for food. And I ain't gonna fucking help. A good thing I've found when I have been better this week, when the wife's been stressing, is humour's a good one. I've really found humour works quite well. So I've come in when I've done my exercising of a morning. Again, if you want to jump onto Ryan's Road Fitness, we'll go through your physical health. But yeah, I'd come in, and I think it was the one morning. She was stressed anyway, okay? She's stressed. I'll come in, and the good old happened, and then she slapped the telly, and Hey Doggy was on. If you're not familiar with Hey Doggy, it's just a children's cartoon. But what I found is a good thing to do is I'll point out to the kids, or pretend I'm pointing out to the kids, and I'll be like, boys, look what are you doing to Mummy? She's got a veiny forehead, and her face is all sweaty. She looks a bloody mess. Like, she's stressing again. She ain't happy. And then if that don't get her that particular morning, I said, Moan, like, you can't be going around hitting Dougie. Like, that's not good for the producers of the cartoon. Like, he was there minding his own business, trying to get on with the episode, and then you've gone and made the TV have an earthquake, and he's went arse over tit, love. So you, like, just desensitise, I think that is, isn't it? Desensitise the situation. So if you can be clear-minded enough to find something funny, that helps. I think that's why we used to always say we always need a baby in the house, right? And people always thought, obviously, we're crazy because of having the three boys so close together. And when I'd say to them, oh, we've always said we need a baby in the house, they're like, what? You can't keep having kids? But what that would be is if you're really stressed about something, you've got pressures in work and all, the older kids are being naughty and whatnot, but then you turn and you find the youngest is got your trainers on his hands and he's trying to stroke the cat or something daft like that, it completely pulls you away, because it reminds you of the innocence of the world sort of thing, and you can kind of put yourself there and how like he's got no fucking worries apart from maybe the laces getting caught in the cat's fur or something daft like that. So yeah, like humour's a good one, but I know I've really struggled this week. Again, one of my big drives for my exercising in the morning, I'm not getting into it, don't worry. Those of you that don't care about the physical side of things, don't worry, I'm not getting into that right now. I'll do a separate podcast about it. But for myself, one of the main reasons I get off my arse in the morning is because I can remember a time where I shouted at my son to stop shouting. And that's low. When you realise you're shouting at someone to stop shouting, as you're shouting, you're like, God, I'm a dick. Like, this ain't right. Like, I want my kid to stop shouting, but if I'm shouting, I'm just teaching him to shout. Like, it's fucking stupid. But working out in the morning, I found is the biggest impact I've had on my mental health. Like, it's nuts. Just getting up in the morning and getting your heart pumping is crazy. I've turned into Superman most of the time. It's really, really good. Fuck was I going to say? Yes. But for about 2 days this week, I had a nice hoarse voice shouting at my fucking son. Again, he weren't shouting. I didn't shout him to stop shouting. But I've had a couple of times this week where I've really had to think about what I expect. Slightly hitting on parenting. When you're getting upset with your kids, most of the time it's because of what you expect of them. Okay? So, like, you ain't going to get upset at your 2-year-old because you didn't empty the bins. But you might get pissed off at your teenager father that's meant to help. You know what I mean? Bit of an exaggeration, but that sort of thing. But basically, my son was going up the stairs and I'd called him 3 times not to go up the stairs. And he didn't listen, so I shouted at him, like, full on rage shout, get down the stairs. Ah. Completely threw my voice out doing it. And then when I reflected on it after, like, when I thought of the situation, that was it. We were on, the wife was trying to show me the voicemail from the message she had from the woman that's going to be dealing with her PTSD. So I could hear the voice of the woman that she was hopefully going to be helping her. But in trying to listen to the voice message, the kids were faffing around. And we said, like, be quiet, I'm trying to listen to this. And then they carried on being loud. So that upset the wife. And me, obviously I felt the stress of it. She then told off the son. But whenever we tell the kids off, I like to make sure they know exactly why. So I was calling him to come down the stairs because I wanted him to know that Mommy didn't mean to tell him off. But it was an important, like, phone thing needed to know about so that he'd maybe understand. So obviously I shouted because he didn't come down the stairs. But then the reflection on that is he was upset. He's a 5-year-old that was upset because his mum had upset him. So of course he ain't going to be like the full-on obedient child and come straight back down the stairs when I've called him. Like, you're an idiot. Side note on that, it is not a rare occurrence for me to be sitting in bed at night crying because of something I've done with the kids. Even if it's not like shouting like that. Like, I can be lying there and think that I've just not spent enough time with, like, my middle son. It's easy to spend time with my oldest son because he's the oldest. It's easy to spend time with me youngest son because he's the youngest. So it's like, well, you got to change his nappy and be there and diddle. I feel like my middle son gets left out. He probably really don't if I bullet point down all the stuff I do. I really don't. But if there's any inkling that I feel like I'm doing something wrong or not as good, it kills me. Mrs. has to calm me down when I'm like that. And she's like, no, you're right, and you do this and you do that, and it's fine. And I'm like, oh, I just feel shit. Kills me. Real pointer one, that is. Apologies for not making notes this time. It would have been a lot smoother if I did. I think this has got to be my last time saying sorry for this, isn't I? Number 6, podcast number 6. I'm going to plan it. I promise. It's going to be planned to a T with a cup of tea. I'll sit down with a cup of tea and plan to a T. Podcast number 6. Promise it will happen. The other one I wanted to hit on, I'm pretty sure it was the morning where she said, where she said about when she stormed off, like, I might as well fucking kill myself now. You're all a bunch of idiots, went upstairs and that whole thing. That morning also was where basically because of doing this podcast and my fitness channel, because on my Instagram account I like to put at the bottom, body and mind, I've got you covered. Because on my fitness channel I'm trying to help you get functionally strong and fit, just like your average guy. I'm not trying to turn people into shredded machines. And then again with the podcast, I'm trying to help people be healthy mentally. I'm not asking you, turning you all into psychiatrists sort of thing, just enough that you can get by in life mentally healthy. But in order for this to work and for it to reach and get to people, I need to work at it, which means I've got to put my posts on Instagram, and I've got to do a write-up, and I've got to put my hashtags in, and now I've started using stories and everything because I've got to get the traffic from somewhere so that people will listen and hopefully help, and then that'll tell more people. So what I'm getting at is that I'll do my workout in the morning, and then I come in the house and I can hear everything upstairs. So I'm sat on my phone getting a picture of like my workout or something, copy and pasting my thing about, you can find my podcast at this link and my fitness channel at this link, body mind, I got you covered, blah, blah, blah. So while I'm typing that, if I hear the kids being a bit naughty upstairs and I can hear the wife getting a bit short-tempered with them, I feel like shit. I feel like I'm sat on my phone. I literally have several different voices in my head. I'm like, you're a dick, man. Your wife's upstairs struggling. Get up. You're on your arse on your phone. Like, who the fuck are you? Get up there and fucking help. You're a twat. And then I got the other voice being all like, but yeah, it's not that though. I'm not here looking at boobs. I'm trying to fucking build a future here. I'm trying to create a platform for helping people. It's not just fucking crap. It's like, but yeah, what's more important, that or your family? And it's like little fucking mini stress boiling point sort of thing. Because then after I've done that, like, I need to stretch. I'm like, I do need to stretch, otherwise I get problems with my back. Then I need to remember to feed the fish. Then I need to have my protein shake because I don't want to be aching too much the next day, so I can keep exercising. Then I usually make myself a little cup of tea. Because if you do have me on Instagram, you see normally when I first wake up, I'm going to straight downstairs and I make the wife a cup of tea. So that's when I have mine. So what I did with that kind of feeling that I get is I spoke to the wife about it. I'm like, by the way, in the morning when I come in from my workout and I'm doing my stuff on the phone, like, I feel like I'm letting you down. Like, I feel like shit. I feel like, you need me up here. And I'm just sitting on my fucking phone. And she was like, oh. She was like, well, no, of course not. It's fine. I understand what you're doing. Like, don't feel like that. But you see, when people feel like that or get those things, it's quite easy. It's very easy that I could have just felt like that, and I could have been doing that every morning for the next fucking 10 years. And then one morning, the wife fucking calling me because she does need me with the kids, even though then the kids will all be 10 years older and it'll be fine. Anyway, go with the imagination here. And then me just flipping and be like, for fuck's sake, I've got to do these bloody hashtag bollocks and fucking rah, rah, rah. And like snapping. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want it to build. I don't want it to escalate, as they say. So, because I had a couple mornings of doing it, because pretty much since the first podcast went live, I'm like, right, okay, people ain't going to know about it if I'm not posting about it and putting links to it and whatnot. And I've got to plug away at it. So because that's having to become like micro routines in my life, morning, afternoon, evening, do a post, bloody tag it, that's getting stressful. But I've got to monitor that, and the best way of monitoring about it is to talk about it. So, and that was the biggest one, because I felt like I've been neglecting the wife and the family in that time. So then just talking to her, that's took that weight off me now, because I don't feel like I'm hiding. Because I'm like, oh, if she knew I'd be sitting here on my phone, like, she wouldn't fucking know that because she's up there dealing with the kids. But now she knows when I get in from. I mean, I did even say to her, I went, you normally like my posts. Like, when the fuck do you think I post it, love? And she was like, oh, yeah, good point. So, you know, and then a secret, but it'd feel like that. It'd feel like, oh, I'm secretly sitting on my phone while the wife's dealing with the kids and I'm just being a lazy twat. Like, I can't deal with that feeling. It fucking kills me. So, yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it about there because I've gone longer than normal again. I'm hoping, like I say, from the start, I've felt the pressure today, and I think that's why I'm apologising more, because I know I've got listeners and whatnot. Oh God, this is so weird, because then I've got, you know, that voice in my head saying, no, it's alright, Roy, you're being real, they'll understand that. See what I mean? I'm a fucking nutcase just like everyone else. Like, oh God, it's terrible. But yes, I hope this episode wasn't too disjointed, because obviously I've literally just been trying to talk about my life the past week and the stresses I've had, and it's because I didn't plan. It's been hard trying to think of the exact moments and what I'd said to the wife in those moments type thing. So yeah, going forward, I'm going to keep a very vigilant eye on my time on my camera so that I don't hit the half an hour mark. Those of you on podcast platforms, you ain't going to worry about that. I'm going to plan ahead, I promise, so that there's less ums and ahs, and I can have a piece of paper next to me that I can glance at and know, right, I want to get to that point next and that point next, and I want to hit this and this memory on that day, and I can systematically go through it to get a nice, clean podcast for you that gets through what I need, that I feel I need to talk to you about, and get to it nicely. I don't want to rush through things, and I don't want it to be a lie. So that's why, like, I'm wanting to talk about the process as I'm going through it, like I said at the start, so that you see I'm a human too. I'm failing, but I'm learning. Same in my personal life, you know, I'm getting through it. You know, every day I'm trying my best to be. I always say, how can I be better than I was yesterday? So one thing I did do, because I looked at last week and went, I was a lot less patient last week than I am normally, and I've went, well, my training partner wasn't off work and I didn't realise it for the morning. So normally I'm in the house for 7, but I was getting like 20 past. So then the wife's been with the kids for longer, so then she'd end up getting stressed quicker. And then also I'd fell asleep a bit later for a couple of nights. So that's what I mean. I'm looking at, why is the wife getting extra stressed? Why am I finding it hard to deal with? And it's like, well, coming in later ain't going to help because she's having to like suffer for longer, as it were. I'm really painting a great picture of having kids, ain't I? Like I said, I'll do a separate podcast about kids. So yeah, so now I've gone and I've went, right, come 7, I need to get in the house so I can do my social media stuff, I can do my stretches, I can feed the fish, and do my cup of tea and get upstairs before. Obviously this is assuming that the kids are being bad that morning. On the flip side of Friday morning, my eldest, he was up and dressed and got his school uniform on and brushed his teeth and everything by the time I come in. It was just because my middle son was particularly bad that morning. Terrible. He's got some strength in him though. It was hard dressing him. Yes, apologies for the lack of prep. It's going to be the last time because I feel truly guilty about it now that I know people are actually listening, actually watching. I'm going to improve on this. I might even just make a list of things I need to improve on, like looking at the lens for those of you on YouTube. Figure out about having a drink beforehand and not burping. That'll be one. That'll be a good one. Yeah, so we're going to get more polished, I promise, but I'm still going to be 100% me, 100% real. And I might do this as well, maybe, because I'm doing them weekly, maybe every 4th podcast-ish, you know, once a month, I might just have a podcast talking about the things I've had to deal with recently and giving you little examples of my life of stress and anxiousness and things between me and the wife. Because this week's been particularly different because of the wife struggling and then me struggling as well. Normally I'm relatively okay, like I'll get bad, but that's when I use the like techniques, as it were, that I've spoke about so far to kind of manage myself so that I can be strong enough that the wife can lean on me and I can help, you know, be funny in their moments when she's stressed to bring her down and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think it might be nice actually if maybe once a month or every so often I'll kind of catch you up on how I've been getting on, as it were, but in a way that I can show the examples, so that hopefully maybe if you feel like you're relating, one, you don't feel alone, two, that you see that you can come out of it, and maybe the things that I've thought and ways I've dealt with it from what I've learned could help. So yes, I will officially mention, even though I already have, I'm going to start doing this at the end now. I haven't made a note of it, but I wanted to. At the end of my podcast, I just want to make a mention of my fitness channel, my Ryan's Road Fitness on YouTube. That's for the physical side of things, right? I do all calisthenics, which is bodyweight training. So what I'm trying to do with that is that people that have that thing of they feel like they've got to go pay £40 or £50 to go to a gym, like gym membership monthly, or if not that, they've got to set up like a home gym with weights and benches and bars, and it all adds up. I used to do weights, and there is a place for weight training if that's what you want to do. All the power to you, carry on. What I don't like is those people get a shed and put a load of weights in it and start exercising, because that's the only option they feel they have, because they feel like, oh, but if I want to get stronger and healthier, I need to do weights because I'm a man and I'll just do weights. So no, I won't go on too much about this because I understand it's a mental health podcast. But as I touched on earlier, I don't know the science behind it. I know there's like chemicals released and blah, blah, blah. But exercising every morning, I do 10-minute cardio. So it's just 10 minutes of just keep moving. You don't really need to know much technique. Even if you jog on the spot and then jump up and down, and we call them bouncies, me and my mate do, where you bounce and then you spread your legs a bit wide and just do stuff like that, just to get your heart rate up for 10 minutes, and then we do strength training after that. But it's that 10 minutes of cardio that make the mental difference, because we even done the strength training. It's all vlogged, by the way. If you dug on my fitness channel, I've been vlogging it from the day I started, so you can see what I mean, and I've said it as I've gone along. We started doing the strength training, but I'd find that I'd still feel fatigued, I'd still struggle with the kids in the morning. But since just doing that 10 minutes of cardio in the morning, mate, I get in the house and I'm normally pretty much like, it's alright, wife, and I can do that thing where like I'll make fun of something and I can like calm the kids down really easy, and it's just like so much better. Like really, really fucking helps you focus on your day and be able to pick the things, whereas normally you'd be like, oh, there's this and there's that, and oh, you're trying to hit my weight, you're like, fuck, this is too much. You're just like, it's like you're there ready with the bat, like, ready, yep, right, nailed that one, ready, nailed that one, fucking come at me, bro, got ya, fuck off. So like, really fucking helps. When it comes to strength, with calisthenics and the bodyweight stuff, it's all compound movements, so you're always working on multiple muscle groups, and it's just pull-ups and push-ups and dips. And if you can't do a pull-up, I show you how. Like, it's really easy, the progressions that you need, and you can pretty much do the whole thing with the door frame, pull-up bar, and a set of gymnastics rings. So cost is low, it's fucking easy, and I show it you on my YouTube. And this is what I mean by I'm trying to do the package. I want body and mind, I've got you covered. I want this podcast to be helping getting you through the mental daily rubbish that you're dealing with, the stresses, the anxieties, the things you're feeling down about when you're feeling like you're not worth it, and all that kind of crap. Like I say, we'll be working through it all throughout the podcast. But the physical side of it, cardio really helps in the morning. I find it better in the morning. And then the strength training is just, again, you just feel like you're ready for the day, sort of thing. Once you've been doing it for a few weeks, and I don't feel like I'm bloody built or anything. It's a strange feeling, but you just feel firmer, stronger, just like you can handle, just feel less like frail, like something's gonna knock you out one day. And I've just been like, fall over and just feel weak. So yes, it's Ryan's Road Fitness on YouTube. I've got a family channel as well, which I'll briefly bring up every now and then. I haven't really done too much with it at the minute. It's mainly baby videos, but it's all the Ryan's Road umbrella. So there's Ryan's Road Podcast, Ryan's Road Family, Ryan's Road Fitness, and then there's also Ryan's Road Music, which is where I used to rap. I haven't really touched the channel for a while. It's why I built this studio, actually, that I'm in now. If you're watching on YouTube, this studio I'm in, that I made in my garage, was for my music, for my rap. An idea I did think about getting back to the rap was I might do like a rap version of each podcast. I thought that could be cool, where I could just do like a song or a verse, freestyle, just put in the general points of like, the stress podcast or the negative thoughts podcast, and just putting it in like rap form, sort of thing. So it's like bite-sized things you could maybe listen to as you're driving. Because the thing with flows and stuff like that, obviously it sticks in your head because it's got a melody. So it was a way I thought of complementing it. On Instagram, I'm just Ryan's Road, and then I believe it's just Ryan's Road on Facebook, which is terrible. On the YouTube thing, I'm going to start putting links in for all my other accounts and things like that. So if you want to look at them, you can. But yes, I'm trying to get more smooth with it. I'm going to plan stuff. I'll condense this. This is the first podcast I've obviously mentioned about my fitness stuff at the end and whatnot. So I will condense that down to do like a little snippet thing at the end where, like, you know, just want to remind you about my fitness side of stuff and the family and other things if you're interested in them. So I'm going to shut up and stop apologising today. Because like I say, this is going to be a getting used to thing, knowing that people are listening, if they're still listening after this podcast. That's a nice negative thought to fly out. Oh, I'm being a bad inspiration today. Oh dear. Snap out of it, right? It's terrible. They're listening because they want to listen, right? Makes sense. If you've made it to the 5th one from the first one, then you must like listening to me. So I'm going to lean on that. I think that will be a positive thing. So yes, it's been Ryan's Road podcast. Messages are very welcome, even if it's, you know, you do podcasting and you've come across this and you're like, you could do with doing this, bro, or your audio like this, or, you know, tips. I'm all for tips, okay? Like, I think I said it in the first or the second one. Like, if you want to message me to tell me I got a big nose, fucking carry on, mate. It's cool. I'm easy, right? For the podcast listeners, I think the only way you're going to manage to message me is going to be Instagram or something like that, or Facebook, because I still haven't made an email for it. I do really like to know if it's helping you. If you've listened to any of these and it's resonated with you at all, or, you know, helped in any way, like, really appreciate people reaching out to say, like, thank you. Like, it's like a little warm feeling, fuzzy inside. Sounds like I'm taking the piss, but I fucking mean it. Like, I love it. Anyone willing to help spread awareness, so we say, sharing the podcast, sharing the link, stuff like that, drop a comment. Even if it's just because you know you've got a friend that's struggling and you're saying, like, well, I've been listening to this Ryan's Road and he's alright, he's not a complete twat. Like, I've liked it so far, maybe give him a listen. Yeah, it'd be cool. It's easy. So yeah, because obviously the more people can get in, the better. Obviously, if it gets down the road, like I said, being completely fucking honest, if it gets down the road and I have got a lot of listeners and it gets to that point and it's a really successful podcast, then it would be daft stuff like, I can get a better camera that records for more than half hour. I could probably get some better lights and, you know, just things like that. I can just put it into making it better. And if I ever got more time, I could do longer podcasts, or maybe I could do 2 a week. Or I've got an idea for the YouTube side where I thought about getting the podcasts I've done and taking snippets out of them. Oh, we're nearly at the half hour again. I don't want to do that. I've gone on too long. Right, it's been great. It's been Ryan's Road. Thank you for hanging with me. I really appreciate it. I hope I'm helping you. I hope it's going well. I hope I'm reaching people. And yes, we're just going to call it there before I get sidetracked again. So, I'll see you for number 6. I've restarted the start of this podcast 4 times now. That's not happened yet. So we've got to podcast number 5 for me to get nervous and keep restarting. We're 6 minutes in, so it's fine. I can restart. It's cool. It's cool. No one's watching.